Welcome to the Great Canadian Piggy Bank, helping Canadian parents raise money-smart kids. Today we're talking about money dysmorphia, the feeling that no matter how much we have, it never feels like enough. To dig into this, I'm joined by David Delisle, author of The Golden Quest and creator of The Awesome Stuff. Welcome to the show, David.
I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm really excited to have you here. And also a West Coaster, I think the only person so far I've interviewed who's out in the West Coast. So welcome.
Yeah, it's exciting. I do like being on the West Coast.
It's the best coast for sure. Let's dig into it. What exactly is money dysmorphia?
So it's funny. It sounds like a big word. It's just when your perception of money doesn't match the reality. And unfortunately, that's the case for so many people, especially our kids. And we see it in so many different ways. And as you mentioned in the intro, a lot of it is that feeling that it's never enough. It doesn't matter how much money you have. There's that chase for more because your perception is that you don't have enough because it's a feeling, not the reality.
And can it go the other way too? Like, can you feel like you have too much, but that's not reality?
What you usually feel is that feeling of like you only live once, that YOLO mentality of I don't have enough, so I'm just going to spend it all. So you see it in both ways. You see it in hoarding out of fear or I'll never have enough anyway. And then you see it on the other end of just spending like crazy. And it really does, it reaches us on both sides, but it becomes this thing it's just not tied to reality because unfortunately we don't really know what the reality is anymore. And we start looking at our peers and it really distorts what's normal, what we should be fine with, what enough is, how much we really have. And we really have started driving emotion instead of the reality.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I was doing some reading about money dysmorphia because I found it fascinating when I heard you talking about it. And I hear it affects over 40% of Gen Zs, but I'm going to flip it. Can you tell me why you think the other 60% aren't affected? And like, what are some habits we can learn from them?
Ooh, that's such a good question. 'Cause I actually think it's higher than 40%
Wow.
that are affected, especially the direction we're going.
Yeah.
But the more you are able to be present and just notice what brings you joy, there is this sense of matching your lifestyle to your income or your money, and kids can set that. So if kids aren't always looking at their peers for validation or what they should have, then it's very easy to be like, no, I feel like things are good. And it's really that comparison that kills us. So that would be in terms of good habits, the comparison. The comparison is never going to keep you happy or not feel like you don't have enough or you're not measuring up.
Agreed. Okay, so then I'm going to take a big stretch here and assume social media plays into this quite a bit.
So much. I'm older. I didn't grow up with social media. And so sometimes it's hard to really get our heads wrapped around how influential it is. But it's massive. So if you think of yourself as a kid growing up, there was always the nicer houses and the nicer cars and the kids with the better clothes. But that was in your own community, a small microcosm, and you maybe didn't see it all the time. Now kids are seeing that every 30 seconds when they're on social media and scrolling. And it's not just in your neighborhood, it's people on yachts or in castles or at these events across the world. They're seeing it all the time. And because it's social media, it can all be an illusion. It doesn't even have to be based on reality. So it's not like the guy's driving down the street and you see, oh, that's a nice car. This could be someone pretending it's theirs, creating this illusion. And it's a small little soundbite. I mean, I said 30 seconds because, again, I'm older. These kids aren't spending 30 seconds on videos. They're watching them for a blink of an eye, 1 or 2 seconds, getting everything they need out of that and moving to the next, and just being bombarded by it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you've heard of University of British Columbia. They've got an Instagram group called The Cars of UBC, and it's all the Lamborghinis and the Maseratis. If you look at just this one Instagram post, all university kids have the most outrageous cars ever. And it doesn't stack up with the typical university
Yeah. And it makes them
feeling.
so fun because I'm sure like you look at it and it's going to have like the right lighting and the right music and the right, like I'm not a
Totally.
car enthusiast. And I'm sure if I watch, I'd be like, I need that car. That looks so
Totally.
fun.
And
Yeah.
everybody else has these cars in university, which nobody, I didn't. Like, I took the bus. Sometimes I didn't take the bus because I got to save my $2.
And that's the thing. And that's where, yes, social media is just ramping everything up and just making it, it's forcing us to do comparison and feel less than. That's really what social media is.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so then what are some signs that we can watch out for when our kids start getting money dysmorphia, which I just love that name, by the way.
I know, it's so great. I think the most obvious one is just start looking at your kids and look at what they're choosing to wear, how they're choosing to act, what all of a sudden their likes are. Because we know our kids, we know what they really like, we know what things light them up. And once we start seeing that shift and become more and more influenced by peers and what they think they should like, or they think they should dress like, or what they should have, that dysmorphia is starting to creep in.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, they all try to become individual, but by being individual, it's also fitting in with the crowd. Like the 13-year-olds right now are all wearing light gray zip up hoodies. And you're like, every single child has a light gray, and of course it's from Aritzia. So then if we recognize this in ourselves and we recognize this in our kids, what can we do about it? How do we change this behavior in them?
This is why I created this awesome stuff movement,
Awesome.
and it's what it's all based on. And the idea is that we teach money typically as math, but it's not, it's
Mm-hmm.
emotion. So this is all about just pausing and getting very clear on what your awesome stuff is. And that's why it's called the awesome stuff movement. So I encourage kids, for example, before they want something, just pause and ask, is this my awesome stuff? And it sounds so simple, and it is. And it's not going to be groundbreaking overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But even as adults, the more we start to do this and sit on it, the more we realize what really is our awesome stuff. Because that's the stuff that lights you up. And you'll start noticing, when you go shopping or when you get things or when you spend time with friends and family, what really is your awesome stuff. And then that becomes almost this comparison where you hold one up against the other, and it's internal instead of being external. And that's the shift.
So explain the awesome stuff a bit more to me. It sounds like it's more like what what excites you? Is that what it is? Like how do you approach it with the kids?
Yeah, it's you approach it in a whole different ways depending on the kids,
Okay.
and it evolves.
Awesome.
But it is like I like to use the term joy, but what makes you the
Mm-hmm.
happiest, or when are you the happiest? And the actual definition isn't so important because we know it as a feeling.
Yeah.
So if you took something like, usually we attack it as parents as just comparison between things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to get the new bike? And even that, at that level, kids are starting to realize, hey, what do I like doing?
Mm-hmm.
But as it gets more evolved and you start noticing more and more things, you'll notice it becomes experiences, the people you're with, the things you're
Agreed.
doing, the impact. And even kids get that. And so you just start talking to them about, like, hey, did you have more, like, how did it feel when you went for that bike ride with your friends?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that compare when I just took you, just the two of us, and we bought, some $5, toys at the checkout counter?
Mm-hmm.
What made you more excited? What did you enjoy more? What would you choose? That's what happens with the awesome stuff, just naturally, because we're social creatures. We want to spend time with people. We want to make an impact. We want to laugh. And rarely is it coveting and accumulating. But again, there's no shame in this. So if your kids are like, no, my awesome stuff is that, Maserati, let it be that Maserati. But
Mm-hmm.
then let them really sit on that, because their favorite day of the week might be, when they have spaghetti at home with their
Yeah.
parents, and just that's their night. And so just reminding them of that, of like, what is your awesome stuff, and that it's very individual.
Yeah. As you're saying that, I'm like, oh, my goodness, I think my kid did this to me. I think she reversed it and asked me about experiences where we took her to her very first concert, and we wanted it to be a big thing. And so we brought her to the Rolling Stones,
Oh, it's so fun.
which is even more fun because Mick Jagger's the same age as her grandfather. So it was even more fun to watch. And I still remember she was like, I want to go buy a t-shirt. And I was like, oh, they're $80. No, we can buy the exact same t-shirt online for much cheaper. And then she turned to me, but Mom, I want the experience. I want to go stand in line. I want to go talk to other people in line. I want to talk about the excitement. I want to be out there. And it's more than just the shirt. You know what? That was actually a moment where, because I'm super frugal and I try to like be like, how can we get the same thing, but in a cheaper way? And I remember being, no, you know what? You're right. I need to look at all of our experiences that way. And I need to think about holistically, what are you going to get from this by standing in line? And I didn't want to go stand in line. My husband went, but but it was just this moment of clarity. I was like, you're right. You're right. It is a good experience. I mean, she barely wears the shirt and it drives me insane, but
Yeah.
she had fun standing in line.
There's so much to unpack there, though. There's so much in that little nugget. And this is what I love about the awesome stuff. Like, this is where I get really excited, because when you first say it, it feels obvious. Like, oh, like, of course, buy the stuff you love. Not a big deal. Totally. And then you start unpacking it. So you could see, I mean, one part is that wouldn't be your awesome stuff. You don't want to stay in line. You think it's an $80 shirt and a complete waste of money. Totally. All these things. You're not going to wear it anyway because you have your own style. That is not your awesome stuff.
Totally.
And so we like to project what our awesome stuff is onto our kids and on others and judge. And that's where you have the judgment and shame and all the emotion.
Yeah.
But that experience was it. Even her not wearing it kills you. But that experience in memory probably has more value. And 10 years from now, when she pulls it out of her closet, she's like, oh, that was my first concert. She's right back in that moment again. So you can see there's so much more to all of this. And as you start to recognize it, you start to see. And so what I really try to flip the script on is we try to teach frugality and delayed gratification and sacrifice and not buying. Whereas I'm trying to flip the script and saying, instead of not getting something and feeling that pain, let's be a little bit more mindful. And is there something that you value even more? And as soon as that starts happening and you start leading in that direction, and for you, the frugality could be that you value freedom and money and less stress more than the thing. And once you're clear on that, the saving's easy because it's not saving anymore. It's not a sacrifice.
No. Agreed. Yeah. It was a very good moment for me. Now when we go on vacation, now when we do things, I always go, does this add to the experience? Yes. Okay. We'll go pay for this. Or versus, no, this is not gonna, the $5 thing at the checkout that she just thought she wanted 2 minutes ago. It's not gonna add to it. But yes, I agree.
And letting them do the $5 thing is still good because that's how they learn. And then they realize this stupid thing broke. It sucks. It was a ripoff. Like, you want them to feel that pain. And that's how you start to learn it.
Instead of me just automatically saying no, and no, you don't need that, and me really laying into my frugality, what's a different way that I can approach this with my kid and with others?
And again, this is why I like this, because the way we're currently doing it with our kids, it's constant confrontation. We're the bad guy. And really, their role is, how much can I get out of my parents? And so you can't blame them for asking for everything. Like, if I knew I had this imaginary piggy bank that just every time I asked it for something might spit out, I'd be poking at it all the time. And that's what we've got set up. So the difference is, this is all about mindfulness, intention, awareness. So if they want something, instead of saying no, you like, and this is back to the concert, you just pause and be like, hey, is that your awesome stuff? And when they're really quick at it, they might just a quick blurt out, yes, I want the thing.
Totally.
But the more you do this with them, the more they'll realize, I can't say that's my awesome stuff and this and this and this. They're going to get called out on it. So if this is your awesome stuff, tomorrow when you ask for some new shoes and another shirt, no, we just bought you a shirt yesterday that you said was your awesome stuff. Just ask them, is that your awesome stuff? Let them pause and make that decision. And over time, it will start to even out. And That's not what awesome stuff is. It's not everything.
Okay, so then what's the way that we can help kids define what their awesome stuff is? What is their experiences? What are their values? How can we get them to figure that out?
So the simplest is just asking them, and over time, that becomes the discussion. Is that your awesome stuff? And you start recognizing, but also it doesn't matter what we say to them, it's modeling. So I model it with my kids all the time. So I tell them, this is my awesome stuff. This is where I choose to spend my money. This is what is of value to me. And they see it, and they see me modeling what I love to do. So then when I do something as well, I'll tell them the downsides too. Like, I bought this thing and I regret it. Like, I thought it would bring me joy. It doesn't. I don't use it. It's not what I wanted, whatever it might be. Or meals. Like, I love experiences. So I spend a lot on food and drink. But there's lots of times where in that process, you'll have just a bad experience. This was not worth what I spent. This wasn't a lot of fun. It wasn't my awesome stuff. And they hear you. They see that it's this iterative process. Because again, there isn't an end goal to this. You don't finally Zen, whoa, I found my awesome stuff. It's a journey where you're just constantly evolving, and you'll notice it constantly evolve, and your kids will evolve. This is back to, I talk in terminology of experiences. Like, my younger guy loves experiences. For his birthday, that's what he wants. Experiences. For Christmas, instead of doing gifts under the tree, a lot of times they'll host their own party for their friends.
Oh, amazing.
And so experiences is a language we use a lot. But what I will say is, if the kids don't have autonomy in that decision, we can as parents be like, why don't you love this? Why aren't you enjoying it more? And so we do have to sort of like let them have that. I think an obvious one, we used to go to Disneyland, and we would have fun doing it. But I hear so often parents take their kids to Disneyland, spend all this money.
So expensive.
And the kids, they're not grateful. Well, the reason they didn't care is, one, it wasn't their idea. It was yours. They didn't do it the way they wanted. They probably want to go on different rides, eat different things. And they also don't know the cost of it. So they can't appreciate it. So if they start having autonomy, so you're like, hey, this trip, I'd love to do it. This is why I want to do it and why I think it'd be fun. But also start giving them an idea too of cost. Like, your daughter realized, well, instead of that, I could go to, 5 concerts like what we just did. Maybe that's what I'd rather do. Or instead of that, maybe we, go out to see grandma and grandpa for a week, or, let them choose a bit and have a decision. And you're still the parent. So you still
I was like, wait, I don't like this stuff. We officially agreed as a family, we will no longer go on hikes together. That's our big moment. We decided we will meander in the woods. So that is our new thing.
That works.
Which is still nice. Still really lots of big trees.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what is one question every parent can ask their child this week to start changing how they see money?
So you can ask a million questions, but one fun one. So I've created a card deck that's almost like questions just inspire these types of conversations.
Amazing.
And one of my favorite cards in the deck is that if you lived on this magical island where you could have anything you wished for, what would you do all day?
What would you do all day?
Oh, me, I definitely would be around friends and laughter and do an adventure. And if there wasn't friends and laughter, that would not be my perfect day.
Amazing. Thank you so much, David. I really appreciate your time and for joining us today. This has been a great conversation. My takeaway from today's conversation about money dysmorphia is it's about the disconnect between our perception and our reality of our wealth. Social media has expanded the keeping up with the Joneses to the entire world, making it harder for kids to feel like they have enough. Next time your child asks for a must-have item, don't lead with no. Instead, ask, is this your awesome stuff? Not to shut them down, not to lecture, just to slow things down and get a little bit curious. Because when kids learn to name what actually brings them joy, money stops being about keeping up and starts being about meaning. I highly recommend checking out David Delisle's work, including The Golden Quest and The Awesome Stuff. I'll link everything into the show notes. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with another parent. Follow the show or leave a quick review. It really helps more families find these amazing conversations. I'm Christy Ray, and this is the Great Canadian Piggy Bank. helping Canadian parents raise money smart kids.